Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of Brawlbots Series 3. That's right, we've hit double digits now, and my goodness, what a journey it has been. We have a lot of robots doing their last fight in this episode, and that's going to be the case for the next 3, well, technically 3 if you count this one, because it's this one, episode 10, and then episode 11, and then episode 12, and then we are done. And we will have every robot having fought 3 times, and yeah, what a fight card series it has been so far. After the fight cards are over, then we'll have the round of 32, where it will be single elimination. But that is for later. For now, let's go ahead and discuss the fight cards, shall we? So let's kick it off with our second fight of the night, between Bulldozer and Viper, 2 very desperate robots right now, as both of them are coming off of losses. Viper is coming off their loss against Blacksmith, where they got absolutely annihilated, and Bulldozer is coming off of their loss against Wedgelord 5000, where they also proceeded to get annihilated. But both bots 1-1, so they kind of need to secure this final victory to secure their spot in the round of 32, as 2 wins is a very good record, and that would pretty much cement their spot in the round of 32. 1 and 2 record isn't necessarily a chance killer. You still have a chance of getting in, but you have a losing record, so it's much more unlikely. So at that point, it'll probably just come down to how good did you do in the fights that you won and lost, and who were you fighting. So yeah, but then in our third fight of the night, we have Tombstone taking on Fire Hazard. And Tombstone coming off of their very close judge's decision loss in a main event against Duck. And Fire Hazard is on a bit of a hot streak, pun very much intended, as they were fighting against Bite Force and Battlebot, and they absolutely destroyed both of them, including throwing Battlebot up and over the wall in less than 10 seconds. And yeah, Fire Hazard 2-0 on a very good road. Even if they lose this fight, there's still an extremely high chance that they get in. There's almost no chance that they do not get in. Tombstone, on the other hand, kind of need to win this fight to guarantee that they will get in, as that will cement their record as 2-1, not 1-2, as this is also their last fight. And of course, in our fourth fight of the night, we have Double Jeopardy coming off of their loss against Hornadivo, where they got pushed all around the arena and just couldn't even catch a breath, taking on the very impressive debuting bot of Calamity, who replaced Shogun after they had to drop out. And Calamity, my goodness, made a name for themselves when they fought against the 10th seed of Bite Force and absolutely destroyed them. And Calamity, well, looking to do that again and finish their record as 2-1, even though they've only fought twice. They lost, they still have a loss because Shogun lost their first fight, but they couldn't recover in time for the next one, so Calamity came in and replaced them, and will be doing so for the rest of the series. So Shogun will be possibly carried by Calamity. Then, of course, in our main event, we have a very interesting one for all of you. It's the Cinderella Story Blacksmith, who's on their own hot streak of 2-0, and they have beaten some they've done some absolutely impressive things in their fights, including absolutely destroying Need for Speed and Viper, and now they're taking on the other 2-0 bot, who happens to be the 3rd seed, Afterthought. Afterthought is a very powerful vertical spinner, and they are coming off of their wins against Chopper and Rusty, so not exactly the toughest of opponents. So Afterthought's true test might be right here as they face off against another 2-0 bot. Let's see if they can make it 3-0, or will Blacksmith continue their incredible run that they've had so far. But of course, that all comes at the end, and we have to start at the beginning with our first fight of the night between Wedgelord 5000 and Splatter. Let's get these 2 robots into the arena and see who's going to be taking home the first victory of the night. And there they are. In the blue square, of course, we have Wedgelord 5000 going with their very interesting looking anti-horizontal spinner configuration, which is a very, very tall wedge. Good luck seeing over the top of that thing. And then, of course, their opponent happens to be a horizontal spinner in Splatter, hence why Wedgelord 5000 is using that configuration. Splatter, a very powerful horizontal spinner, however, they are only 1-1, as they lost to Hornet Evo, previously mentioned, and, yeah, they ended up beating the daylights out of Blitz, and Wedgelord 5000, well, they lost to the reigning champion, Black Diamond Requiem, so no shame in that, and then they absolutely demolished Bulldozer. So, it'll be interesting to see who is able to take home the first victory. And of course, in case you don't have enough big spinners in the arena, we have Galaga, our lovely house robot. Without further ado, let's get the first fight underway.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
And here we go with the first fight of the night, and it's underway. Splatter trying to get up to speed, and now Wedgelord 5000 running into them and slowing them down, gets them into the corner, a good start. They have them under the pulverizer now, and they're ramming Splatter in between the pulverizer shots, but now Splatter gets away, spins up to speed again, and now popped into the air by Wedgelord 5000, and Wedgelord 5000 hits them, has enough momentum to keep going forward, but spins around in the process. That was weird. And now ramming Splatter into the corner again. That massive wedge is doing its job at preventing Splatter from really doing much to the body of Wedgelord 5000. Actually, Splatter's been flipped over now, and now getting hit by the pulverizer again. And now I think, yep, there they've been flipped back over now. As Splatter back up to speed, and now another massive hit sending them into the air. Splatter still trying to get a good shot that can actually do damage to Wedgelord 5000. Now sent away like a hockey puck from Galaga. And now up to speed again. They tap the back end of Wedgelord 5000. But now Wedgelord 5000, they've gotten them up on the wall, and now they're able to push them out of the arena with the top of their wedge. Well, would you look at that? Their wedge being that tall actually came in handy. Well, that's a very interesting thing, I gotta say, but Wedgelord 5000, a very impressive performance, moves to 2-1, beating Bulldozer and also Splatter now, with their only loss being to the champion. Probably gonna get a pretty high seed, considering that Splatter, unfortunately, falls to 1-2, and their only win is against Blitz, so not a very good look for them. But Wedgelord 5000 is your winner. Well, a very dominant display from Wedgelord 5000. I mean, they just completely tossed Splatter from arena wall to arena wall, getting them under the pulverizer a couple times, getting them into the screws, getting Galaga involved, and then eventually they just put them on top of the wall, and then I guess I spoke too soon about the wedge being too tall, as it was able to help push Splatter over the edge of the wall. So, good job, Wedgelord 5000. You actually might look dumb, but hey, it came in handy. So, good job. So that means that Wedgelord 5000 finishes 2-1 with their only loss being to the champ. Pretty impressive record. Splatter, unfortunately, falls to 1-2, and their only win is against Blitz. Not looking too good, as Blitz is, well, you know. But anyway, moving on, it's time for our second fight of the night between Bulldozer and Viper. A flipper and a lifter. One is slow and one is fast. And one is objectively more effective. So, let's see who's going to be taking the win. Will it be the absolute tank juggernaut Bulldozer, or will it be the very fast and nippy Vine Snake Viper? Let's find out. And there they are. In the blue square, we have Viper with their powerful flipper that was not so powerful in their last fight, as it really didn't do anything. But interesting to see how they do in this fight, and they've actually reinforced the flipper, so now the wedge won't just break off from trying to lift something too heavy. Anyway, Bulldozer, of course, with their very powerful and very durable lifting scoop, lost against Wedgelord 5000, as that's not the opponent they're designed to fight, but nevertheless, they did get annihilated. But they did have a very good win against, I believe, Team Battlebots. So, interesting record. Team Battlebots is 0-3, but still a very dominant win nonetheless. Let's see if they can add another one to their resume, or will Viper be able to just be a better weapon? Let's find out.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate!
And here we go, Viper and Bulldozer charging at each other, and now Bulldozer seems to be getting underneath Viper. Viper's main body actually lifts up as the flipper hinges, and now Bulldozer's actually flipped Viper up onto their back, and they're up against the wall. And now Viper flipped over, self-rights, and Bulldozer, oh, they haven't closed their scoop yet, and Viper immediately capitalizes on that. And now Viper getting some very good flips onto Bulldozer and flipping them out of the arena. Wow, okay. Bulldozer made one mistake and Viper immediately capitalized on it. A very impressive display of driving from Viper there, even though they're only a rookie. Viper improves to 2-1 now, and impressive win against Bulldozer. Gives them a pretty good shot at getting into the round of 32 with a very high seed. Bulldozer falls to 1-2 though.
Well, that was certainly interesting. Bulldozer initiated the conflict and got underneath Viper and pinned them against the wall for a little bit. Eventually, they had to let them go, and Viper self-righted very quickly, and was also very quick to capitalize on the fact that Bulldozer's scoop takes just a couple seconds to get down back to the floor, and Viper got underneath this time, and well, they got a very impressive series of flips and flipped Bulldozer straight on out of the arena and send them packing to a 1-2 record. Bulldozer's only win against a 0-3 bot, and their other two losses against some robots that are 2-1. So, Bulldozer seems to fold against even some of the more mid-level bots. Not a very good look, but they still have a decent chance of getting in because they got at least one win. Meanwhile, Viper, on the other hand, has a very good chance of getting in, as their only loss was against a 2-0 bot who could potentially go 3-0 in this episode. But either way, very impressive wins against their opponents as well. Viper has an extremely solid chance of getting in, so congratulations to them. Bulldozer, I wish you luck. You're a very entertaining bot when you fight a robot that isn't boring. Anyway, moving on to our third fight of the night, we have Tombstone in a very precarious situation, taking on the blazing hot streak Fire Hazard, who has completely dominated their high-seeded opponents in the 10th seed and the 16th seed. And Fire Hazard has beaten both of them with very little pushback from either one. So, will this be another domination from Fire Hazard, moving them to 3-0? Or will Fire Hazard finally meet their match against a horizontal spinner? And there they all are. We have Fire Hazard, of course, in the blue square, with their very powerful and very large flipper compared to the rest of the body. And of course, in the red square, we have Tombstone, with their extremely powerful horizontal spinner, looking to improve to a positive record after their loss against Duck, and coming off of their win against BattleBot in a main event. So a very interesting fight indeed. Of course, we have Galaga as our house robot. Without further ado, let's get this third fight underway and cross the halfway mark.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate!
And here we go, Tombstone up to speed almost immediately. And now Fire Hazard charges into them. Tombstone getting some good hits. Fire Hazard yet to actually get a good flip onto Tombstone. And now Tombstone stuck on their wedge and flipped over. Doesn't seem like that's done a whole lot to them so far, though. Tombstone just seems to slide off of Fire Hazard's wedge every time it hits it, or just bounce off like that. And even sending Fire Hazard back. And now Fire Hazard misses a flip. Seems like their flipper just didn't get any purchase on Tombstone, and now a massive hit, sending them completely flying away from each other. Now Tombstone chases Fire Hazard down to the other wall. That's going to give him some good aggression points. And Fire Hazard continuously missing with those flips, and again, and now trying to get underneath Tombstone, but it seems like they can't. Their wedge might be damaged and may not be super low to the ground because of Tombstone's blade. And Tombstone gets another good hit as they kind of just drove over Fire Hazard's wedge there. And now sending them into Galaga's corner. Galaga gets a little bit of a shot onto Fire Hazard, and now Fire Hazard's been flipped over by Galaga. And now Galaga sends them flying across the arena. And Tombstone, another good hit from them. And another. Tombstone's getting some really good hits onto Fire Hazard, but nothing seems to damage Fire Hazard so far. And Fire Hazard, they can't really get any good flips onto Tombstone. And there's a good one. That was a massive flip, nearly sending them out of the arena. Tombstone was able to recover quickly, though. And now Tombstone flipped over again. Actually just did a barrel roll, so they landed on their wheels. But now going and sliding off of Fire Hazard's wedge yet again. And Galaga now gets a hit onto Tombstone. And now Tombstone still trying to get some good hits, but that wedge of Fire Hazard is just deflecting all of them. But at the same time, it's preventing Fire Hazard from actually getting any good hits of themselves on their own. Tombstone now against the screws. Fire Hazard trying to flip them or get underneath and still can. It seems like their ground clearance has been affected by Tombstone's blade, and now a good flip from Fire Hazard, but still nothing major, which is kind of what they need right now. Fire Hazard definitely needs something major as we enter into the last 40-something seconds of the fight. And now there's a good flip. Tombstone on their back. And now Tombstone going after Fire Hazard again. Tombstone's going to get a lot of aggression points in this fight. And now Galaga gets a hit onto Fire Hazard's back. And now Fire Hazard trying to get underneath Tombstone. They're pushing them around, but they're not able to get underneath and really flip them. And now they have them in Galaga's corner. They were underneath, but Galaga got some hits before Fire Hazard could capitalize. And now that seems like Tombstone and Fire Hazard might actually be stuck, as Tombstone's wheel is stuck to the side panel of Fire Hazard. And it seems like the wheel is kind of jammed in. Well, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that before. But it doesn't matter as the fight ends, and it's going to be going to a judge's decision. Both bots put up a very impressive display. Tombstone with some very massive hits throughout the fight. Fire Hazard with some decent flips. Interesting judge's decision.
Well, what a fight indeed. It was certainly a fight to see who would come out on top. In the end, neither one did. They ended up getting stuck together in the final 10 seconds, but at that point it didn't matter. So the fight ended, and it went to the judges, and they have made their decision. Your winner, based on a 8-7 score, very close indeed, but, you know, still winning, is Tombstone. That's right, Tombstone is going to be winning this fight, as they will be getting 3 points in effectiveness overall in the fight compared to Fire Hazard's 2, and it will also be getting 2 aggression points compared to Fire Hazard in this fight. And Fire Hazard, the reason it was 8-7 and not 9-6 is Fire Hazard got the control category barely with just a 3-2 win in that category, but even then it was only just because Tombstone got a ton of attacks using Galaga, and pushing Fire Hazard around somewhat requires getting them close to the house robot. Otherwise, you'd think that the competitors would stay away from the house robot. But a very good fight regardless. Fire Hazard still 2-1, and their victories against pretty high-seeded opponents, so they have a very good chance of getting in. Tombstone, they definitely needed that victory. Their only win against an 0-3 bot would not have been good, and their other loss against a 2-1 bot wouldn't have been that good. And, yeah, their loss against Fire Hazard would have been good. You know, it would have made sense, as Fire Hazard, well, if they won, they would have been 3-0, so that would have at least made sense. But Fire Hazard's flipper just couldn't really seem to get any purchase on Tombstone. And Tombstone's blade, on the other hand, got some very nice hits on Fire Hazard. And Fire Hazard, they got like one good flip that actually threatened Tombstone. But other than that, it was all just Tombstone getting turned over. And other than that, it was perfectly fine. And it never seemed to really lose any functionality throughout the fight. So, your winner is Tombstone. But now, it's time for our fourth fight of the night. That's right, we're almost done. We have Calamity, the new kid on the block, taking on Double Jeopardy, who well, at least looking at their last fight, might have just been a one-hit wonder against Cheese, the 4th seed, where they managed to win even though they couldn't self-right, against a flipper. But they still managed to win using control and ground clearance. But Hornet Evo, well, just seemed to do that, but better. So, now it's time to see if Calamity will be able to follow in Hornet Evo's footsteps, or if Double Jeopardy will finally get another win on the board. Let's find out. And back into the arena. We have Double Jeopardy in the blue square with their extremely unique weapon choice of a cannon. A shotgun cannon that fires 3 very heavy projectiles against their opponent. And Calamity, well, a very flat shape, so may not be able to get a good shot off on them. But we'll just have to wait and see. And to make sure that we don't just have a wedge fight the entire time, we have Hydreigon as our house robot, which Double Jeopardy needs to look out for as they cannot self-right, whereas Calamity is invertible, so they don't even have to worry about it. So, without further ado, let's get the 4th fight of the night underway.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
And here we go. Calamity, knocks out one of the cannon shots from Double Jeopardy already. And now Double Jeopardy has him pinned, and there's the cannon shot. Doesn't seem to have done any damage to Calamity, but it could have done some internal damage. And there goes the final shot, kind of just falling out. So only one of the shots was actually able to do anything. And now Double Jeopardy doing a barrel roll courtesy of Hydreigon. And now Calamity has him in the corner. And now backing away, Double Jeopardy now going and turning, facing Calamity again, but can't seem to get underneath, and Calamity with a massive ram, getting them up onto the sidewall, but not out of the arena, luckily. And now Double Jeopardy getting rammed into the wall again, as Double Jeopardy tries to push back, but Calamity with a much stronger pushing power. They have some massive wheels on that thing. Double Jeopardy has 6, Calamity only has 2, but it seems like size is going to be more important than quantity. And now Double Jeopardy getting shoved into the corner, now shoving out of the corner. And now Double Jeopardy rammed into the screws, back into the wall. And now into Hydreigon's corner. Hydreigon might be able to flip them over. Yes, they do. Hydreigon has flipped Double Jeopardy onto their side. And, Calamity seems to be getting a little bit upset with Hydreigon as they're in the way. And Hydreigon rams them into the screws. Hydreigon now back into their corner. Calamity trying to ram Double Jeopardy out of the arena, I think, but they ended up actually riding them, and now spinning in a couple circles to try and get them onto the screws. And now Double Jeopardy back off the screws, right side up, with Calamity with some massive rams, flipping them over again with that one. A massive one, and there they go out of the arena. Well, your winner in a dominant display, not even allowing Double Jeopardy to get a chance, is Calamity. Calamity, a massive, massive onslaught here with some very powerful rams, and Calamity seems to just be showing us a fraction of what it can fully do. We haven't really seen it fight against a super high damage robot so far, but Calamity seems to just be able to just bully its opponents around the arena. And that is their second win. They go 2-1, and their loss wasn't even their fault. It was from Shogun because they picked up their record. Double Jeopardy, unfortunately, falls to 1-2.
Well, yet another domination from Calamity. My goodness, they absolutely pummeled Double Jeopardy in this fight, bringing them from wall to wall. Double Jeopardy barely even got a chance to do anything. In fact, they got their cannon shot off, and that was about it. In fact, one of their rounds fell out of the barrel as they rammed into Calamity, and boom, there went one of their shots. And their other two didn't seem to do all that much. In fact, the first one got stuck behind the second one. So, Calamity took a pretty easy win against Double Jeopardy and improves to 2-1. 2-1 for their fights, 2-1 for their overall record because, well, they filled in for Shogun. And, of course, Double Jeopardy falls to 1-2. Their win against the 4th seed, but the 4th seed is currently 0-2. So, not a very good look for Double Jeopardy. And, yeah, their other losses have been against Hornet Evo and Calamity. So, interesting to see if Double Jeopardy makes it in or not. They have a decent chance of getting in, and a decent chance of not getting in. So, truly an anomaly indeed. But we have our final fight of the night, the main event between Afterthought and Bulldozer 2-0 bots, looking to go head-to-head. Afterthought is the 3rd seed, but Bulldozer has had a very impressive run so far after completely dismantling Need for Speed and Viper. So, very interesting fight we have lined up here as our main event. And it's the 18th seed against the 3rd seed. Definitely one for the books. So, without further ado, let's get them both into the arena to let the carnage unfold. And for the final time tonight, here we are in the arena. We, of course, in the blue square, have Blacksmith with their extremely powerful hammer. Not an axe, it's a hammer. And looking to absolutely bludgeon the daylights out of our 3rd seed, Afterthought, who is 2-0 currently, looking to improve to 3-0. And, well, can they do it against Blacksmith, who has a bit of a Cinderella story going? Afterthought needs to control themselves, but it'll be interesting to see if Afterthought's able to take out our Cinderella story, our dark horse at the competition, Blacksmith. Let's find out.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
And the main event is underway. Afterthought and Blacksmith charging at each other, and Afterthought has lost their wedge already. That's not good, but they get some good hits onto the side, removing one of the side panels, but now they're flipped over in Galaga's corner, and Galaga getting their spinner up to speed, and now a decent hit onto the side of Afterthought. Afterthought tries to self-right, Blacksmith backs away, and Afterthought slides across the arena, self-righting now, and now they close their Shreemek and going for some hits at the front of Blacksmith, but not able to do anything as Blacksmith's wedge kind of just scoops them up and scoops their spinner out of the way of actually hitting them. And now Afterthought getting some good hits onto the side, but now flipped over again by Blacksmith's wedge and just ramming power. And now they flip Blacksmith has flipped Afterthought, and they're getting some good hits with their hammer. And Afterthought self-rights, and Blacksmith back on the attack. Afterthought gets another good hit, but now flipped over yet again on their back, and Blacksmith rams them into the wall and now into the corner. And now Blacksmith with some more good hits and trying to break off the remainder of what was the wedge, and there it goes. Afterthought still needs to self-right, and there they go, they do. Their Shreemek is pretty useful, but it's also kind of slow, so it provides Blacksmith some time to actually attack them. And now Afterthought into the corner and self-righting yet again. This is like the 6th time they've been upside down. This is not looking good for Afterthought, as they've only gotten a handful of hits, adding on to them now. But Blacksmith seems to just be in complete control here, and Afterthought's spinner hasn't really done all that much damage to Blacksmith. Meanwhile, Blacksmith has done at least some damage by breaking off the wedge, and potential damage with the hammer, and Afterthought just sends himself flying that time. And now Blacksmith has Afterthought in the corner again, and now hitting them with the pulverizer. And now trying to get some hammer hits of their own. They get one, and they back away. Afterthought runs out of the corner, and now is met with a wedge again. Afterthought flips himself over on Blacksmith's side, and Galaga actually hits Blacksmith that time as they were closer. But now Afterthought getting to the back of Blacksmith, and now getting some good hits on the hammer that could actually damage it. So Blacksmith might want to try and get away, and Afterthought flips himself over again. And now Blacksmith on the attack yet again, ramming Afterthought into the wall, trying to flip them over. Afterthought faces them with their rear plow, but that's still not low enough to get underneath Blacksmith. And makes sense, it's designed for horizontal spinners, not for ground clearance. And now Blacksmith rams them into the wall again. Afterthought spins out of the way. That was an interesting move. And now Blacksmith, ramming Afterthought into the screws and now into Galaga's corner. And Galaga gets a hit. Afterthought on their face. They need to self-right, and Blacksmith rams them further in. And Galaga gets Afterthought out of the arena as the final 5 seconds were buzzing down. Galaga has flipped himself over with their spinner gyro force, and now Blacksmith's staring at them. But your winner, going 3-0, is Blacksmith. They beat Need for Speed, they beat Viper, and now they've beaten the 3rd seed of Afterthought. My goodness, Blacksmith, an impressive run here. Afterthought, still impressive, and they went 2-1. They're only lost to Blacksmith, but Blacksmith, an impressive machine. They're probably going to get a high seed.
Well, an absolute brawl for our main event. Afterthought, they put up a fight, but my goodness, Blacksmith just completely dominated them as they broke off Afterthought's wedge in literally the first exchange. Not a good start, and Afterthought felt the effects of it as they were getting out-wedged left and right, and they were not able to do anything with that vertical spinner every time that Blacksmith charged at them with their front end, of course. Afterthought did get around to the sides a bunch, which showed some very good driving from them, but Blacksmith, with some help from Galaga, ended up getting Afterthought out of the arena. And Afterthought was in Galaga's corner, so it is allowed. And Blacksmith, well, put up a very good fight, and they earn their right to a 3-0 record. Very impressive indeed. Afterthought unfortunately falls to 2-1, so hopefully they can improve on that. But they still do have 2 wins and only a loss against a 3-0 bot, so they do have a very high chance of getting a decent seed in the round of 32. But that is all for this episode, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Do all that YouTube stuff, and that would really help me out. And you guys have been awesome. This series has been getting a ton of attention, and I'm very grateful for it, because I love making these videos. And yeah, episode 11 should be coming out very soon. Episode 12 shortly after. And then after that, it's on to the round of 32. And if you want some more information as to how that's going to work, I'll talk about it in episode 12, where after the end of the episode, every robot will have fought, and every robot will have their seed in the round of 32 revealed, and the robots who are going to say goodbye are also going to be revealed. So stay tuned for that. But that is all for this episode, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode or video. Goodbye.